What's up, everybody? Wasn't planning on streaming today. I watched the Browns pitifully lose their game and came up here to record a video and thought, you know what? I feel like streaming again. So I don't know how long we'll go because at some point I'll probably have to feed my family some dinner. But we'll stream for a little while. And I thought in the meantime might play some. This is a game I've actually been wanting to try out for a while. It's called, the website is wikidtrivia.tomjwatson.com, and some people had suggested it to me. It's kind of interesting because what they do is they give you historic events and you have to put them in order on a timeline. So each one you have to decide, okay, where on the timeline does it go in relation to the other things? And you get to miss 3. And so far, my best streak is 8. I've tried it a few times just to kind of get the sense of it. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated by the Browns' loss, especially because the Steelers and the Ravens both lost, and we could have been a game ahead in the division, but oh well. In the meantime, looks like my my football team in England is going to be having a new coach here soon. I think West Brom's moving on from Steve Bruce. I did see that Sabaton has a new song. I haven't listened to it yet. I know what it's about. But yeah, Matt, I did see that Mr. Beat is also live at the moment. I don't know if is it a live stream or is it like a premiere kind of thing? I think it might be a live stream. Might be where everybody's at that isn't here for this stream. I don't know how Celtics doing. Don't care. But all right, so I'll show you what this is like. And some of this stuff I'm going to know right away, and some of these I'm going to have no clue about. So this is a tract by Isaac Newton. So that's definitely before 1869. So that's how that works. You drag it into place, then it reveals the date. So we see that 1680, and now we have 1869. So the next one, Uppsala University, I'm going to say had to have been before 1680. Yes, 1477. So hello in Lithuania. Very cool. Oh, yeah. The merry-go-round of football managers. I was kind of hoping West Brom would get Slaven Bilic back, but he went to Watford. Although if they wait a few weeks, maybe he'll be available again. I'm not really, Oliver, really big into hockey. So the former owners of the Pittsburgh Penguins live right down the street from me. I did see that Jimmy Carter is 98. I have been to Louisville many times. All right. Union Territory of India, Lakshadweep, was created. I feel like if it's India, it's got to be old, right? My day's okay. Had a good day this morning. Church was good. It was kind of a family thing because we were missing a few folks. So my 14-year-old son ran the computer and the sound for church. My other 2 kids normally sing on the worship team anyway, but they were the only 2, so it was just me, my daughter, and my youngest son who did the singing today. How tall am I, or how short am I? I'm 5'10". Martin Draft in Poland, hello. I hope to get there someday. Where would I put Edward Ord on my tier list of Civil War generals? He'd be like a B for me. Kind of late in the war that he really starts to make a name for himself, but it seems like Grant really trusted him. All right, I feel like this is going to be pre-1477, and I would be completely wrong. It's 1956. Oh, man. All right, Yongle Emperor of the Ming Dynasty. That's got to be before 1477. 1360. Okay. Zechariah, New Testament figure. Now we're going way, way back. So that's early from here. Minus 100. Galileo. All right. He should be in between 1477 and 1680. All right, 1564. So that was right. Okay. Same height. Now, I'm a little taller than Napoleon. He was about 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". Kenny, every church does things differently. We don't have a church choir at our church. In our case, I play guitar, and then we have a group of singers that sing our songs. And then we also have a pianist who does some more traditional songs on the piano. My thoughts on Patrick Claiborne. Seems like as of late, he's been kind of the popular figure for people to build up among Confederate generals, and he was very good. He was one of the better ones on the Confederate side. Favorite type of cake? Carrot cake. Yeah, Steve, I hear you. I'm probably a little under. I'm probably 5'9.5" if I'm being honest now. I don't have a favorite Premier League team. Favorite church song right now? We just started doing a new song. It's called "Hymn of Heaven." Fantastic. Really like it a lot. We don't have a full church band right now, but we're working on that. Yeah, we'll do some more ancestry videos soon. Absolutely. New Netherlands as a colony. We are looking at. Oh boy, this is going to be just before 1680. 1609. There we go. That would be the area around New York City, New Netherland. So I'm actually doing pretty good so far. I might break a new record here. All right, well, Halley's Comet was discovered. Okay. We have sightings of Halley's Comet going way, way back. But Edmund Halley only figured out that all of those sightings were the same comet. I want to say in like 1815-ish. Oh, no. Okay, so I misunderstood that one. They were going with the very first time that Halley's Comet was sighted, which is not at all what I thought they were doing with that one. Yeah. Rough day for Manchester United, right? When you say church band, you mean like a holy version of Sabaton? They exist, not in my church. We're a little less hardcore for that. Who do I blame for Cold Harbor? If you're talking about the June 3rd attack, that disastrous frontal assault, that's on the Corps commanders. 100% on the Corps commanders. Favorite band is Sabaton. Danish West Indies, former Danish colony in the Caribbean. That's got to be... I'm going to go between 1609 and 1680. If I'm wrong, then I lose. 1754 was much left. All right, so let's do that one more time. So James the Great, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, the year 1 they have here. Theodoric the Great, king of the Germanic Ostrogoths and ruler of Italy. That's got to be post James. Yeah, 454. Which army was better in the 1860s? It's tough to compare. I feel like probably the Prussian army. I don't watch Formula One. JT Original, thank you. I appreciate that. Do I blame the pig out for San Juan Island dispute? Nah, not really. What's my record at this game? My best is 8. I play a ton of games on Steam, Landon. In fact, in a little while, I'll show you guys my Steam library. Gregory of Nazianzus, Christian saint, bishop, and theologian. Ooh, tough one. I don't know if that's here or here. I'm going to go here. I was wrong. I should have gone the other way. Jawi alphabet, Arabic script-based alphabet. That's got to be post 454. Yeah, 1300. Indus script, written language. I feel like that's going to be way back here. Yeah, 1900 BC. I haven't seen... I'm aware of the game Destroyer U-Boat Hunter, and actually they sent me a key to try it out for free, but I haven't tried it yet. My favorite Paradox game, Hearts of Iron 4. But Victoria 3 is about to come out, so I'm excited about that. What's up? What's going on, Mr. Beat? VibHav, I was going to do a members and patrons only stream, but I didn't know how much time I was going to have, and I want to announce those far enough in advance, so probably going to be later this week. Why do I think George Washington is overrated as a general? Because he really, every time he was in a battlefield, like a toe-to-toe battlefield situation, he got outsmarted. He just wasn't a good tactician on the battlefield. In fact, he kept falling for the same British tricks over and over again, so it didn't seem like he learned, but he was a phenomenal leader. I have played the new DLC for Hearts of Iron 4. I've got a video up on the gaming channel already. Mr. Beep, what kind of job are you going to get? Tiananmen Square... when was Tiananmen Square created? Oh, that's got to be post 1300. Yeah, 1417. The Shahnameh, long epic Persian poem. Okay, I feel like that's got to be somewhere over here. Oh, no way, that was 1011. I wasn't even close on that one. Alois Hitler was born. Oh, that's all the way over here, easily. Skins, British teen drama series. That's way out here. All right, Simon of Cyrene. is the person described in the Gospels as the man who carried the cross for Jesus. So we know that's right in here. No. Wait, what? So they're saying he was born. Okay, I get that he was born before. Okay. Born in 100, he'd have been 130 years old when the crucifixion happened. There's no way that's accurate. All right, I'm starting to feel not so optimistic about this particular game. So this is another one I found, lizardpoint.com, and they've got all kinds of interesting ones here. Montezuma Castle, that's cool. Yeah, I would like to visit there someday. More Total War. I don't know. There's a lot of other games I'm trying to get to play right now. So I have watched The Crown. How bad was Bragg? Pretty bad. All right. So this one here, I'm going to do a simple one first, which is just to rank the presidents in order. I feel like this one ought to be pretty easy. We'll see how quickly I can do this while I'm answering questions. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. Then we go to James Madison. Then James Monroe, then John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson. Gets a little messy in here for some of these coming up. Shelby Foote, very good storyteller, kind of a product of his times growing up in the Lost Cause period, things like that. How did the French army decline so much from 1814 to 1870? Poor leadership. The post-Napoleonic Wars era made it difficult to keep a good, strong, well-trained standing army. Mr. Bison, thank you for that. Order Grant and Sherman's memoirs. Grant's are fantastic. Not familiar with Sherman's. What is my favorite type of chicken? Anything that's white meat. I'm not a fan of dark meat chicken. Yes, Van Buren is next. I just was answering questions. So Van Buren, then we're on to William Henry Harrison. Then he died, and John Tyler. Tippecanoe and Tyler, too, was next after that. Then we have Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan. All right. So 100% on that one. Now we move on to 1861. I love Grant's book. Especially when you contrast it with another Civil War autobiography that I read recently, which was Longstreet's. And Longstreet, I got the impression he was trying too hard to prove himself and to prove how smart he was and to defend himself against detractors. And I get that that's where he was in life, but I didn't get that sense from Grant at all that he was trying to justify or prove himself to anybody. And I got a real sense of Grant's character in his book. Like, you can tell that by nature he was a person who tried to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I did forget to say he looks like Alec Baldwin. If I were president, what period of American history would I want to be president at? Ooh, man, there's no really good ones, is there? I would say maybe like around Thomas Jefferson's time, because that was a time when things were kind of going well, and there's some expansion happening, and there's some opportunities to make really important decisions and things like that. Do I have a favorite Major League Soccer team? Yes, Columbus Crew. Okay, real quick, Abraham Lincoln. We're going to do the UK, or we're going to do British Monarchs next. That'll be a little tougher. Andrew Johnson. Where's Grant? I got to sneeze here in a second. Maybe not. Here it comes. Excuse me. Garfield. Garfield dies. He's assassinated, and Chester Arthur takes over. Then we get Grover Cleveland #1. Then we get Benjamin Harrison. Then we get Grover Cleveland #2. Justin Richards, thank you. How will Donald Trump go down in the history books? I think, as with all presidents, I feel like over time, the historical view on him will soften. And what I mean by that is the people right now who think he was just absolutely an amazing president there are going to be fewer people who feel that way 20, 30 years from now. And I think the people who think that he's the worst president we've ever had and almost destroyed the country 30, 40 years from now, there are not going to be as many of those. I think that stance will soften somewhat on both of those extremes, as it does with all presidents. There's a recency bias that happens with all presidents. ACP 723, thank you for that. The History Squad. Okay, I will check them out. Absolutely. Thank you for that recommendation. At what point do I think the Civil War became inevitable? I would, personally, if you put me on the spot, I would say right around the time we annexed Texas. All right, let me finish these up real quick. We are on to William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft. I don't know that guy. We won't even say his name. He who must not be named. Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge. All right. Next, let's finish this up real quick. Clinton is ranked close to Ike. Do I agree? I think there's still a little bit of recency bias with Clinton. I think he'll probably eventually drop further behind Ike. But I don't have a major issue with that. But I think Ike's higher than Clinton. But I think long-term Clinton will probably go down as of the presidents we've had so far post Ronald Reagan. I think, we're talking George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. I think out of that bunch, Clinton will be the highest ranked long term. Thoughts of Silent Cow? Probably the last president we had who didn't take advantage of being president to kind of wield a great deal of executive authority. I think it was kind of the last old school president in that sense. Okay, where are we at? 31. So we are on to Herbert Hoover. Let's see. 33, then we're on to FDR. Truman. This is all pretty easy. Ike. Kennedy, Johnson. Nixon. Ford, Carter. Reagan. Bush. Clinton. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. All right. Currently reading the Roosevelts by Alan Churchill. Recommend it. I have not read that, but I would very much like to. I find the Roosevelts as a family, and in particular the presidents, to be fascinating. Yeah, Professor Wood, I think that's fair. Although I think by nature that position tends to draw people who have pretty large egos. Would I rather be King Louis XVI or any emperor? Oh, and any emperor of Japan, because a lot of them fared better than King Louis XVI did. Who do I think is the best general in history? I think it's impossible to say because of different eras. I think there are certain generals that have to be in that conversation. That's about as far as I'll go. So Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon, folks like that. I haven't heard Sabaton's father yet. Do I think there should be an upper age for president? Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. All right, I was going to do one more of these. I want to do the English monarchs one. I don't want to do a quiz, though. Is there one where I can do like do English monarchs in order kind of thing? Because I feel like I might trip up on that one. The King's Speech, yeah, fantastic. FSH Opes or F. Shopes was Longstreet the best Confederate general. It's hard to say because he never really had a major independent command to really be able to judge him in that way. I think he was one of the most consistently good Confederate generals for the role that he had. Michael Painter, thank you. Do I think 9/11 or the COVID-19 pandemic will historically have a larger effect on the world in the 21st century? I think COVID will have a larger effect on the world in the 21st century and for the rest of human history. I think 9/11 had a short-term, pretty significant impact for a good 20 years or so. I think we're kind of starting to get past the post-9/11 world now. But I think COVID, a lot of the things that changed because of COVID with how we do things are probably permanent changes. Like the number of people working from home, like the amount of things that can be done by distance rather than in person, things like that. Yes, The Lost King comes out next week. I'm excited for that. Most overrated and underrated U.S. president. Overrated? Most overrated, I might say right now, I'm feeling like saying Kennedy. Underrated, probably Polk. Just got hired at the Newmarket Battle Museum. Very, very cool. I need to get down there, definitely. I've answered FDR to the overrated question in the past. I don't think Nathan Bedford Forrest was a genius. I don't agree with Shelby Foote on that. And I remember seeing the interview where he said that. Always got to have my Mountain Dew. Yeah, my Mountain Dew 0 to be specific. I will do some more epic history. New All Quiet on the Western Front. I will be watching it, and I'm going to watch it while I'm on the Western Front because it comes out like a day or two before I go to Belgium and to make World War I videos. So why not watch Father right now with us? Because it'll demonetize the video. That's something I have to watch independent of and make its own video, or it demonetizes the whole video because of the music. Which Roosevelt was a better president? Theodore. Was Andrew Jackson a tyrant? He had tyrannical tendencies, probably more than any president we've had. Shenandoah trip is definitely something I want to take. All right, this says click on George the Fourth. Okay, so I think it's this guy here. That's got to be George the Fourth. Although it's one of these two, because one of these two is George the Fourth and one of them is William the Fourth. And off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you which one's which. So it's a 50-50 shot. Got it. All right, Edward the Eighth is easy. That's him right there. Elizabeth the Second's right there. George the First is going to be this guy. That means this is William the Fourth. It means this is George the Second. That's definitely George the Third. That's Victoria. That's George the Fifth right there. George the Sixth, Charles the Third, Edward the Seventh. Yes! Those are all new ones, so that wasn't too hard. Is there one for English monarchs? Oh yeah, here we go. From earlier times. I'll place the monarchs in order. Here we go. Which Johnson was better? Oh, easy. LBJ. Favorite monarch of the 20th century? George VI. I never have attended a historical reenactment. That's something I need to do. How do you download the Great War mod? On Steam, you just subscribe to it on Steam and you'll have it. It's real simple. Which American presidents do I think should have been impeached? The only one that I think probably deserved it that never got impeached was Nixon, and he would have been if he hadn't resigned. Of the ones who were impeached, I don't know that I think any of them should have been. John Sharp, thank you for that. Out of all the presidential election losers, who would I have most liked to win? Also, what's my favorite Hamilton song? Okay, of the losers, who would I have most liked to win? I got to think about this one for a minute. There have been some really, really good ones. I mean, the cop-out answer is to say William Howard Taft in 1912 or Theodore Roosevelt in 1912. Either one of them. But I'm trying to think of somebody who never was a president to answer that question for you. Charles Evans Hughes is a really good choice, Jacob. I'm going to steal your answer. I like that. I do like that a lot. McClellan would have absolutely been better as president than Andrew Johnson. Do I think the criticism against George III in today's history books is fair? No, I really don't. I think George III did exactly what most monarchs would have done in that situation. I couldn't really recommend a good book on TR. All right, let's see. Oh boy. We're going to start with 1066. I don't really know my pre-conquest president or monarchs that well. What do I think of the atomic bombings in Japan? This is the way I answer that. If I were Harry Truman and I were in his situation with the information he had available to him and the situation as it existed, I 100% would have made the exact same decision as Truman. And I think most people would have. I think most of the people who say, oh, it was horrible what he did, are kind of looking back with what we know today, rather than looking at it as he did. I always try to look at it from what he knew and what he was facing in that situation. Alex, thank you for that. Toy Soldiers. I have played Toy Soldiers. Fun game, for sure. Scottish monarchs before 1603, Mr. Bison. I need to learn more about them before I can feel comfortable in that. All right, so 1066, we are starting with William the Conqueror. The early ones are the ones that throw me off a little bit. And I always I trip over a few of these. I believe we're looking at William the Second, and then Henry the First. Oh wait, we've got Harold in here. So actually, all of these are wrong because we've got see they were red because I've got to do Harold first. That's why. So that threw me completely off because I didn't notice that Harold was there. I don't know the Horrible History song, actually, believe it or not. So there we go. So Henry, 1135. I believe we've got Stephen and Matilda, who then was married to, be Henry II. Then we have Henry the Young King. Then we've got Richard the Lionheart and John. So I was okay, except it threw me off, not realizing Harold was going to be in there. When's the next historic videos you've never seen episode? I'm going to try to do one this week. Favorite English king or queen and why? Edward III, on the throne for a super long time. I think he's a very solid king. Last good one that England has for a while. James Madison, father of the Constitution. I disagree with him on political philosophy, but no doubting his status as a great founding father and a super influential and important person in our early history. Justin, thank you. Father has a darker, more epic sound than most Sabaton songs. You personally love that. You know what? I can appreciate both. I love the catchy ones like 82nd All the Way, super catchy. So is Red Baron, but like some of those darker ones that I also really enjoy too. Is Burnside to blame for Fredericksburg? No, I put him about 5th on my list of who I'd blame for Fredericksburg. Hamilton or Adams? Hamilton. All right. Let's go to 1216 to 1485. So who did we end with there? We ended with John. So then we're on to Henry III. That was his son, who's on the throne for a super long time because he's 9 when he becomes king. Favorite classical symphony? I don't know if I have one. Most meh president. Not good or bad, just meh. I had to think about that a little bit. I think I'd go back to probably for me somebody like Benjamin Harrison. Couldn't really tell you anything super good or super bad that he did. Just meh. Favorite weapon used in the Civil War? Harper's Ferry 1855 rifled musket. Henry III, 1272. His son is Edward I. Followed by Edward II. Followed by Edward III, whose son, the Black Prince, dies right before him. And then the grandson, Richard II, takes over. He is usurped by Henry Bolingbroke, his cousin. Max, thank you for that. There were Edwards who were king prior to Edward I. That's a great question. I think all the numbers start over with the conquest of 1066. Henry V, Henry VI, then Edward IV, then Henry VI again, then Edward IV again, then Edward V, then Richard III. McClellan would have been a decent president, I think, if he could let his own ego out of his way. I'm not sure he could. But I think that the radical Republicans would have tore him to shreds just like they did with Andrew Johnson. But I think he would have been better than Andrew Johnson. If I could be an advisor for any movie, what would it be? The upcoming Theodore Roosevelt movie. I have not yet watched Blackadder. I'm acing the quizzes because I'm doing ones I know I can ace. So, full disclosure. All right. 1485. We are on to Henry Tudor now. This is going to get a little trickier for me. Where's Henry VII? There he is. Henry VII. Henry VIII. Then we go to his son, who is Edward VI. Followed briefly by Lady Jane Grey. And then Mary I. And then... oh, we're going to put Philip in there too, right there. Got to look at who all's here. Then Elizabeth. Then after Elizabeth, we're on to James I. Followed by Charles I. Followed by... is it Charles the... nope, it's James II. And then Charles II. Nope, that's not right either. Who am I missing? Oh, duh. That's why. We need Oliver Cromwell, then Richard Cromwell, then Charles II, then James II. Then, oh, we're going to say Mary's first and then William? William and Mary came on together, then Anne. I've not seen the Elvis movie yet. My wife and I are talking about that, though. We want to watch it. Would England have won the 100 Years' War if the Black Prince became Edward IV? Better chance. Yeah, I think better chance. Favorite French monarch? Louis XIV. No president has yet lived to be 100, but Jimmy Carter is knocking on the door, man. I hope he gets there, too. The world is a better place with Jimmy Carter in it. I've done country flag tier lists, I think. Haven't I? I feel like I have. Maybe not for the whole world, but I've done like European ones. Do I enjoy reading about British politics? Not a ton. Mostly the monarchy. Yeah, William and Mary came to the throne as joint monarchs at the same time. So I did a European flag list. That's what I thought. I've not visited Lincoln's house or his grave yet. Favorite British Prime Minister? I'm all about William Pitt the Younger. Any particular place on the Chickamauga battlefield you should visit? Yeah. Snodgrass Hill is my favorite spot on the battlefield. One of the most imposing places on any Civil War battlefield. You stand there and you realize why George Thomas was the Rock of Chickamauga when you stand and see it the place that he was able to defend. That's my favorite spot. Hey, fun fact, I don't know if you guys have seen this video or not, but if there were someone to try and make a claim to the inheritance of Charlemagne, did you know that the senior heir of Charlemagne is none other than King Charles III of the UK? Worst and best American generals. Good question. Worst is tough because there have been a lot of really bad generals. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one a little bit. Okay, this part's going to be tough for me. Oh, no, maybe not. Okay, so we are starting with, we're on Hanover. All right, we're good. I got this. George I, George II, George III, and then it's two of his sons, George IV and William IV, and then another son's daughter, Victoria, followed by Edward VII, George V, Edward VIII, George VI, Elizabeth, and Charles. There we go. Where's McClellan buried? New Jersey, I think. Pretty sure New Jersey. McClellan might be up there for worst for me. See, here's my thing with Eisenhower. Great political leader. He never really led troops on the battlefield, though. So I don't know, like, I don't know. I'm just not sure about that. What package is going to be delivered tomorrow? I'm just getting Amazon notifications. Interest in the Mexican Revolution. Yeah, that's something I'd like to learn more about. John Bell Hood was a good general up until the summer of 1863 when he was grievously wounded twice. And when that happened, I think something changed. He loses use of his arm as a division commander at Gettysburg. Like a month and a half, 2 months later, 2 months later, he goes to Chickamauga and loses a leg. Two bloodiest battles of the war. He's right in the thick of both of them. Seriously wounded in both. I don't feel like he was ever the same after that. Michael, thank you for that. Yeah, I agree. I think anybody that's got any level of European ancestry is going to be able to trace their line back to Charlemagne. And Hamelin de Warenne is one of my lines back to Charlemagne as well. So hello, cousin. If I could travel through time to the past, what event in history would I change? Lincoln's assassination. Sebastian, great question about teams in Germany. I'm still trying to decide on a Bundesliga team. I watched a little bit of SC Freiburg yesterday, and I'm kind of leaning in their direction, but I haven't decided yet. I was really set I was going to choose Hoffenheim because they're the closest to where my family's from out of the Bundesliga teams. And then a lot of people were filling me in on the Hoffenheim, like their history and why they're kind of viewed the way that they are in Germany. And so I kind of backed off of that a little bit. Grant's buried in Manhattan, New York City, which is interesting because he didn't live in New York very long. Custer, hero or villain? Yes, he's both. Civil War hero, Indian Wars villain. I was supposed to come to Manchester in 4 weeks, but plans have changed and we're not going to Manchester now. Do you need to know as much about history to become a historian? Listen, this is a thing that I have a lot of conversations with people about, because every so often I get somebody who comes on and comments on one of my videos and says something along the lines of, what are your credentials that you are a historian? Like what they're really asking is, what degree do you have? And then I'll get people who argue, well, if you only have a bachelor's degree in history, you're really not a historian. And I tell people that historian by definition is anybody who studies history and then shares that history knowledge with other people. So by definition, if you study a historical event and learn some things about that, and then you start sharing that knowledge with other people, you are by definition a historian. Now, some people will say, well, yeah, some people like to say, well, if you have a job in a historical field, or if you've published, peer-reviewed writings, then maybe, no. By definition, historians, anybody who's teaching or sharing history that they've learned. So I tend to go on the loosest definition of that possible. It's not about how much do you know, because there are some people, and here's the other thing. The other thing I get sometimes is people will say, well, how could you be a historian and not know this very specific detail about this very, very specific event? And the fact is that there is not a person alive who knows everything about everything related to history. And everyone is really good in some areas. Like, I know people who know specifics about some events that I will never know. Gary Edelman from the American Battlefield Trust. I will never in my life know what that guy knows about the battlefield at Gettysburg. I just won't. I mean, he has dedicated his life to that. He has lived there. He has been a battlefield guy. I'll just never won't. And 99.99999% of people on this planet will never know what he knows about Gettysburg. But I guarantee you I know way more about World War I and the British monarchy than he does. Does that mean I'm a better historian than him? No, absolutely not. He is amazing in his field, and I have some areas I'm a little more broad in my knowledge. There are people who know so many details about specific events, and then there are others who know a lot or know a little about a lot of things. So anyway, that's my rant. Who was the mysterious lodger during the Jack the Ripper murders? Fascinating. I don't have a clue who it is, Dylan. Thank you, by the way, for that donation. But definitely one of the more interesting, intriguing mysteries of the Jack the Ripper thing. La Liga. I don't have a La Liga team yet either. What do I think of Chief Justice Earl Warren? Fascinating figure. I don't have a strong opinion on either way, really. I think Charles III is going to do pretty well. Liam, I am a Browns fan. Today was rough. Personal favorite movie about any period of American history. Ooh, I got to think about that a little bit. And thank you, Drew. Oh, boy, that's tough. I tend to lean more toward TV series than movies, and so for me, John Adams and Band of Brothers might be my two favorites. So maybe not quite the answer you were looking for. Do I think there's a line between preserving places and modernization? Yeah, I think there is, and I think that is one that people struggle with, and I know there are people who have real issues with, for example, I've seen some hate directed towards the American Battlefield Trust, for example, for buying up properties and tearing down homes to make battlefields look like they used to. But I think there's enough land out there that we can afford to preserve some places. In some places, it's tougher to do that. The UK, for example, all of the UK is just one big, giant historical landmark, right? So you have to pick and choose in places like the UK, just because you can't possibly preserve everything and still be able to exist in those places. I think there is probably a fine line there. No, I think Earl Warren had retired by the time I was born. Shadow Wolf, thank you. I have seen Flyboys. What's the guy's name? The one that was in the 127 Hours movie. Dave Franco. Not Dave Franco. His brother was in that. Good movie. I enjoyed it. I will definitely play Victoria 3. I haven't decided who I'm going to play yet, but I'm leaning towards Prussia for my first game. Yeah, all of Europe for that matter, Chris. You're absolutely right. Man City or Man U? Man U out of those two. Do I think the UK joins Germany in World War II if Edward remains king? No, I don't. you just need to subscribe to get the Great War mod. Yeah, if you just subscribe to a mod in the workshop on Steam, then you get it. Yes, James Franco. Thank you, everybody, for that. Opinion on Jerry Ford. Super nice guy. Came into an impossible situation. And I think probably would have done a decent job in any other time. Overrated historical figure. Wow, there's a lot of good choices there. Do I want to come back to the UK? Absolutely. I want to come back to the UK for like a couple of months if I could. But definitely will be coming back sooner rather than later. Favorite UK football team in all of the UK? Rangers. After that, West Brom. David, your super chats won't work. I'm sorry. I'm not sure why that is. Most famous person I have ever met. That's a really good question. Oh, I got to think about this for a minute. I sat next to Darryl Strawberry on a plane once. Baseball player, famous baseball player. I have Scottish. I'd like to go back to Glasgow. I was just there in July, but I definitely want to go back, spend a little more time there. Who else have I met that's famous? Oh, man. Now I'm kind of drawing a blank on famous people that I've met. Yeah, cool story about Darryl Strawberry. So I was on a flight from Pittsburgh to St. Louis, and he was next to me. It was a Southwest Airlines flight, and he was right next to me on the flight. And I didn't even realize that he was on our flight until we were walking onto the plane. And I've got a picture of us together somewhere. But my man had a whole stack of baseball cards, of his own card. And he would autograph them and give them out to people, whoever asked. So I just thought that was really cool that he did that. Let's switch over to the regular video mode here since I'm not really doing anything at the moment besides chatting. You shook hands with Mike Pence. Very cool. Met Buck Showalter. I mean, I've been like around a lot of famous people, but like actually having met them and talked to them, I'm trying to think of who else. Rosalind Carter, very cool. I will say that here's kind of a cool thing. One of the people who is a huge fan of this channel, who has messaged me a number of times, and we talk every so often through Instagram, is Dylan Douglas. So Dylan Douglas, his parents are the actor Michael Douglas and the actress Catherine Zeta-Jones. His grandfather is Kirk Douglas. I mean, it does not get more huge in terms of Hollywood royalty than that family. And Dylan is a huge fan of this channel. We talk every so often. He follows me on Instagram. So that's pretty cool. Michael, thank you for that super cool ancestry thing you found out. Sir Thomas, very cool. That is awesome. Is he a Scottish Douglas? That's a great question. I'm not sure if they are or not. And I did an interview once with when I did an Instagram interview with the history chick, and during that interview, Scott Grimes was watching, and we were kind of talking to each other through like he was on the chat and I was on the interview. Scott Grimes he played Malarkey in Band of Brothers. He was in ER, a lot of other great movies and stuff. So I know he knows who I am, though we've never personally met. We've interacted through Instagram a little bit. If I could change one decision made by a U.S. president, what would it be? Wow, there's so many there. I'm trying to think of a good one there. It'd have to be something related to Andrew Johnson and how he dealt with Reconstruction. Oh, yeah, there you go. Quattro's got it. Lincoln and his VP pick. You know, Lincoln's original choice for vice president was actually William Rosecrans, the general, before he ended up with Johnson. So I'd go back and choose Rosecrans. Most underrated king or queen of England. Underrated. Henry III? If I could have a conversation with any historical figure, Grant. Probably Grant. Most powerful, influential vice president? Probably, it's got to be Dick Cheney. Do I believe in ghosts? Yes and no. Do I believe that there are apparitions that are seen and interacted with by people that we call ghosts? Yes. Do I believe they are the spirits of dead people? No. David Schwimmer did a fantastic job in Band of Brothers, I thought. I do need to go back to Nashville, Little Debtor. That's a place I'd like to get back to. Do I think the Civil War can be prevented? Only by the Founding Fathers. I think once that ball was set in motion, it was inevitable. The Great War mod should definitely show up on Steam because I am subscribed to it. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up my Steam list for you guys, and I'll show you where it is on there. The Winter War, yeah, that's something I need to do some stuff on. Underrated vice president in U.S. history. That's a great question. I don't know if I feel qualified to answer it. Oh, favorite Hamilton song. Yeah, I was asked that earlier, and I totally forgot to answer it. Favorite Hamilton song? I've got a few. Wait For It is my favorite Burr song. I don't know. I just really like how that song flows. I really like Right Hand Man. It's cool. It's the introduction song for George Washington, but I love the part at the end where he says, where Washington offers the job on his staff to Hamilton, and Hamilton's like, he does that one, I'm not throwing away my shot. And then he says, you need all you can help you can get. I have some friends, Lawrence Mulligan, Marquis de Lafayette. We need some spies on the inside, some Kingsmen who might let some things slide. You write to Congress, or I'll write to Congress and tell them we need supplies. You rally the guys, master the element of surprise. I love that moment where he goes from, I'm not sure if I want this job, to jumping in full speed, like only Hamilton would do. So I like that song a lot. But I think the best songs, just in terms of how well they're written and how well they capture the moments, have to be in the second act. It's Quiet Uptown. Might be one of the best written songs I've ever experienced in my life. That man managed, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a brilliant writer. The way he managed through that song to capture the exact emotion that the Hamiltons must have been feeling after the death of their son is just incredible. That song is so depressing and beautiful and perfect for that moment. But the last two, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, and then what's the one before that? The one where they have the duel. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. But those two, the duel song and then Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, are so good. So good. The World Was Wide Enough. Thank you. Like Hamilton's monologue there right before the bullet hits him. Oh my gosh. And the way, like how Burr says, wait, right after he fires the shot. So good. We're going to be seeing Hamilton again here in January. What American figure deserves the next big musical? I think Theodore Roosevelt would be a really cool musical. He's got such an amazing story as it is. Most accurate comedic history movie? Oh, The Death of Stalin. The Black Dinner, I know a little bit about, Owen, and I actually did a video about it at Edinburgh Castle. I know the basics. I know the kind of the story. I don't know the details a whole lot. Best president apart from Lincoln. Well, I don't even think Lincoln's the best president, but Macion123, thank you. I appreciate that. Your first ever donate. Thank you so much. From Poland, one of my favorite countries. So much incredible history there. Cannot wait for a chance to visit. If things calm down with this whole Russia-Ukraine thing, I hope Poland is on the list sooner rather than later of places that I visit. When I'm coming back to England, I was supposed to be there in a couple weeks, but probably next year sometime. All right, real quick, let me show you my Steam library here. As you can see, just a ton of things on my Steam list. Well, I guess you can't see because I didn't put it over on the right side yet. Here we go. So here's my Steam library. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't really play much or that are my kids' games. But I can show you what I have installed right now. Here's what's actually installed on my computer at the moment. So, Clan Folk, I haven't played for a while. Colonize Prologue, I haven't played for a while either. Crusader Kings 3, play all the time on my gaming channel. Farthest Frontier. Fire Maneuver, guess I need to update that. Haven't actually made any videos about yet, but I do need to play that some soon. Grand Tactician Civil War, probably the game I play the most. Hearts of Iron 4. We're definitely going to have to get a multiplayer game going on that soon. Mountain Blade 2, I love. And I'm waiting. I want to get the Game of Thrones mod installed for that and play that a little bit. Risk. Stardew Valley, that's my kids. I don't play Stardew Valley. Superpower 3, I just got. They sent me a review code for that. I haven't played it yet. I do have Civilization 5 and 6 and Humankind on here. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, Warlord Britannia, I haven't really played much yet either. But, all right, let me show you Hearts of Iron 4 real quick, where you find that mod. So, Workshop. If you just go to most subscribed, you'll see it is the 4th one on the list of most subscribed mods. Hearts of Iron 4, The Great War. There you go. It's right there. That's what it looks like. Have not read Joseph Goebbels' diaries. Age of Empires 3, I think I have. No, I don't. Oh, you know what? Age of Empires I don't have on Steam. That's why. Sweden, probably a couple years away, but definitely something that'll happen. Harrison Clark, I didn't say necessarily that I like Henry III, but I think he's underrated as a king. Yes, he got captured, and yes, his son had to free him, but Victoria 3 is 1836 to 1936 is the setting for that. I've not been to Israel, Owen, but I very much want to go to Israel. Definitely high on my list. I will definitely be getting Victoria 3 as soon as it comes out. Scariest photo to exist. This has got to be the picture of Mary Jane Kelly after she was killed by Jack the Ripper. For me, personally. Do I think missiles have made a lot of naval ships and aircraft outdated? To a degree, but they also fight with missiles. So, I have played EU4 quite a bit. I've played a lot of Civilization in the past. Is Napoleon III one of the worst monarchs in French history? Yeah, I'd say so. Mountain Blade Warband I did play quite a bit. I don't feel qualified to do a tier list on UK Prime Ministers. I just don't know enough of that history. Finn, we're not going to get into that argument here. Favorite video game of all time? It's probably Grand Tactician Civil War or Hearts of Iron 4 right now. John Mayer, a little bit. Your Body is a Wonderland, pretty good song. I have been to the Adams homes and grave sites. Very cool. If you're ever in the Boston area, definitely worth your time. All right, I got to check something real quick here. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. Wasn't planning on streaming for too long here. Favorite Civil War battlefield? Probably Gettysburg or Vicksburg. I have played a lot of Football Manager. I have not been to Portugal. Best president of all time, I think, is Theodore Roosevelt. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I know you guys got a lot of questions yet, and I wish I could get to all of them, but dinner time approaches, so I need to feed my people. But we'll be back real soon. Please check out some of the links in the description. Lots of new links there. Some new ways to support the channel. So please check those out, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great week.